Hello, all you hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Poker's Corner, and still the biggest gob in sport. Today we're joined by Jerry from Belfast. Women love him, men want to be him. How are you doing, Jerry?
I'm all right, mate.
Good. What have you been up to?
Um, had a bit of a long weekend there because we get St. Patrick's Day off, so I was off yesterday,
Yeah.
and then I booked today off as well, just to extend the holiday a little bit more. And
Is it a big thing over there, Jerry? St. Patrick's Day, is it where all you Irish fellas go out and drink loads of Guinness?
well, I went for a nice walk around the forest park, so I didn't sit at home drinking all day, if you know what I mean.
Like rest,
Um,
like rest of Belfast.
there's a lot of parades and stuff that happen all over the place. Do you know what I mean?
What?
Parades like street
Great, are you?
festival. So you've got a lot of people out celebrating that way, but I'm sure you've got loads of people just getting absolutely pie-eyed on the drink, drinking loads of Guinness.
Yeah, pretty much, but people just, even English, just look at any day to get drunk, don't they? So, oh, it's pancake day, oh, it's bonfire day, oh, it's St. Valentine's Day, or whatever, oh, it's Wednesday, let's get drunk. So, but no, I admire the Irish people for St. Patrick's Day because they make a bigger fuss about it than the Brits do with St. George's Day. That's what I believe.
Yeah, it's a bigger thing. I don't know why that is. I mean, St. Patrick's Day seems to be celebrated in lots of other places. Obviously, it's really big in America.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see lots of other countries that seem to do a thing for it. So yeah, I mean, the Brits could really get sort of make a big deal about St. George's Day, and what is it? Scotland has St. Andrew's Day as well. So, they're still not quite as big a thing. I don't know why that is like, but it'd be nice if they kind of did something similar.
We'll have to ask Andy, who's not from Aberdeen, by the way, if he was out
That's
on
right.
St. Andrew's Day.
He's
Big
not
shout
from
out
Aberdeen.
to this cavern and Canada's boxing channel. Bob, how are you doing, Bob? Bob with the new bins.
He's got new bins.
Got no bins, Bob. Like big. They're not as big as Big Malks, though, are
No, no, that they're like frying pan sized bins.
they? Big Malk. Big Malk was an invitation for you to come on Porky's Corner. So don't bottle it, Malk, because you'll go on any YouTuber's channel that'll accept you. But you won't come on here, will you, Malk? Because I've got 6 questions I want to ask you, but I'm not going to come on here. Let me ask them. But what can you do? Jerry, I don't really know where to start. Egggate, what did you make of it all now? It's the dust died down, and then now they're all trying to sell the fight, going about the private lives. They're throwing Frank Smith into it mix. Has he split up with Emily Eubank, or is he still with her? What's going on there?
Don't know.
Hmm.
It's all very Daily Star esque. Do you not think so?
Daily Star.
You know,
Good catalog.
the only thing's missing, mate, is when we turn the page three and there's a nice looking girl on the page with her boobs out.
Listen,
So
man, this
yeah,
is how I look at it, right? I think Terry Chappendama called it fantastic in Terry's Take,
yeah,
episode 111. That's on Porky's Corner. If you want to go have a listen to that, it's absolutely fantastic. I don't nick Terry's material, but how he words it, well, look, Terry words things a little bit better than me because I am not a gentleman when I get my words out. I come across not thick, but I'm very short, aren't I? But basically, what Terry's saying is they've struggled to sell that Tottenham Hotspur. So I've done a bit of digging today, and I've been on the website looking for tickets because it's supposed to be a sellout, isn't it? You know,
yeah,
and hundreds. Did Eddie say? 240,000 was in a queue for
yeah.
60,000 tickets. Well, I've got news for you. There's still 38,000 tickets left. So how is that a sellout? It's not a sellout, is it? There's no
Doesn't
belt
sound
on
like
them.
it.
They're not fighting for a world title, are they?
No, no.
They've
I
just
mean,
about done everything they can to push this. And you know, this egg thing. I ain't buying, I'm not buying into all that. I'm not buying into that. I'm not buying into it whatsoever because if Nigel Benn would have thought his son had been glassed, he'd have done a little bit more than just that, wouldn't he? Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, he's a shithouse if that's what he's done. If he thought his son had been glassed and that's all his reaction were, former world champion, absolute in on it like the rest of them. I don't buy into it, but then again, I've been around it and I've seen it close, but I don't believe anything I'm told by the lot of them. None of them, because on a Monday they say one thing, Jerry, and on a Tuesday they go back on it, don't they? So I
Yeah.
don't buy into it. No, not at
It's
all.
just a load of knackers, mate, as you say.
It's a load of knackers, mate. Absolutely. They've got to sell it, haven't they? He's got to play the bad guy. They've used Piers Morgan to give him some traction. The desperado. Eubank's a gambler. Right? I'm not interested in his finances. He's a massive gambler. The other one, he's going to know, isn't he? Because he's been parked up on it. And he's got to square people up him. So they're both desperado for this. Now, what happens with a fight like this? They tell him what they're going to get. But it's all based on, well, it's your show, but you've got to do so many pay-per-views. You know, all that kind of carry on.
Yeah.
Have you noticed how Turkey's not involved in the fight, is he?
No, he
It-
mentioned it briefly, and that's about it.
It's Eddie Hills, the 7-0 Iceman. Five by way off, of course. This guy ripping through the super heavyweight division as a 19-year-old. And his dad's had a production company, hasn't he? Since 1980, and there's not one bit of footage. It's a bit like Joe Egan with his sparring stories about me and Mike and Cuss in the Catskills, you know, chatting a load of old pony. That's all they do. So I don't believe the egg thing was true. I don't know what you believe, Jerry, but I don't. I don't believe it. No, it's not.
No, no, I don't believe it either. It's it's all very, very much scripted, and it's all very much. I mean, you said it perfectly. It's desperate attempts to sell a fight as because it's meaningless. It's meaningless. They've put it together like they've put together a pantomime, and I think they thought perhaps maybe a couple of years ago when it was first announced, but because it's dragged on for so long, it's basically everybody's lost interest, and they've pulled out all the stops to try and gather that sort of interest back again because we all got bored of this about a year and a half ago. Who cares now? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's basically their attempt at trying to get back interest in the fight because well, it's last chance saloon really for both of them. One of them's not fought anybody, and the other one's just looking to cash out. So
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. Who have you got winning the fight anyway?
uh well, I think it's hard to see past Eubank dominating the fight. I mean, the only thing I'm going to give Crusher is youth and less kind of he's taking less damage. So that might get him through to the end of the fight. But predominantly I see Eubank Jr. Being too strong and too heavy handed for him. That is unless he blows out and Ben is able to, just use that youthful speed and sort of extra bit of stamina that he's going to have to run rings around them. But no, if I was going to put a bet on, and I don't bet myself, but if I was going to put a bet on, I would bet on Eubank, and I'll go safe and say points. Points win for Eubank.
How's Eubank going to beat Ben? People keep asking me in emails. I don't know why people can't just leave it on a comment section. They feel that they need a personal reply from me. And I just look at you like this. He's a bigger man. He's been in with better competition.
Mm-hmm.
Conor Ben's not really beat anybody of note, has he really? I know he's beat a couple of washed up guys, you know what I mean? But I've got Conor Ben down as English level. He's an English level
If
welterweight.
even.
Yeah, if that welterweight like Miller, whatever he is his English level. And if he were called Conor Smith, we wouldn't even be talking about him.
Exactly, exactly, Russ. Um, how many top 10 opponents has he fought? That's what I want to know. Are there any? Has he
Well,
fought
you
any top
what
10
would you
opponents?
say for Mella or Algieri were top 10 at the time? You wouldn't really, would you? They're that top.
No,
Algieri
absolutely
came
not.
out of a commentating job, didn't he, after 18 months on Settee?
Exactly. So, I mean, we've already discussed Tyson Fury's record being absolutely, you know, paper thin. I mean, Conor Ben's got to be next in line for another guy who people won't shut up about. Yet he's got this. Who has he fought? What is he? 23 and 0,
Yeah.
23 and 0, something like that. Who are the 23 guys? Like, you'd expect a handful of respectable opponents, um, at his weight, and he hasn't got anyone. Talking about a couple of washed up guys is not means nothing. Particularly based on you know this reputation that he's trying to sell himself as. You know, he just nothing holds up. There's no substance to him yet. He's not proven a thing other than he's had two failed drug tests. That's the only thing we're certain about.
Well, he's failed two drug tests, Jerry, right? He's failed two drug tests, and he was pressed by Piers Morgan, but not properly. It was Eubank that were pressing it. They all played the parts well. They all got good poker faces. Ben's playing his dad's role in it as the guy who was the loose cannon, who's going to bite all the time and going to want to have a tear up and this and that. And Eubank's trying to play the let's have some parliamentary procedure like his dad. All they're doing, they're taking off the dads. And all Piers Morgan's doing is noshing Ben off because he went to the McClellan fight, Ben McClellan. But what he forgot to mention is Nigel Ben never had a drug test for that fight because he jumped on floor on way to test, didn't he? And made out he collapsed. And
That's
them
right. Yeah,
Essex lot, Lenny McLean, all of them, Carlton Leach, and all the rest of them, they all got him out of building, didn't they? You see where I'm coming from? So
yeah,
it is what it is. He forgot to mention that, but Chris Eubank Jr., he kept saying like father, like son. He was more or less saying, well, your dad never took his test in the McClellan fight. You see where I'm coming from?
yeah. Of course.
He
Yeah.
never took a drug test, did he? But
No.
all I say about that is, well, why didn't they just get a hair follicle sample off him at the time? Or get it the next day because it would still be in his system. That's all. But he never took a test. So, I'm not, is it like father, like son? Well, we're not going to know. But Nigel Benn got put out at ropes. He got hit that hard in round one, but he couldn't put him away, McLaren. And he was the biggest puncher in the sport. He couldn't put him away, could he? We're not saying he took anything, of course, but he never took the test, did he?
Didn't take the test.
Didn't
Yeah.
take the test. He jumped on floor. He was all right when he was stood on ropes like that. No, you're going to believe in the Dark Destroyer. Then we went, oh, yeah, you got to have a drug test. Collapsed, didn't he? He wasn't doing that
Yeah.
big ring when he was like that, worry. They brought him over to beat me up, bro. Nigel, drug testers are here. Oh, collapsed. I ain't buying it, but then again, I'll have a good conspiracy, don't I? But if anybody wants to tell me different, tell me different. And I were cheering for him. I was in jail at the time, watching it in TV room. We had a lock in, whatever, for us to come out of TV room, and then we all got nicked the next day, on adjudication. But it's a true story. It was back beginning of '95, just after Christmas, '94, beginning of '95. So it is what it is, innit? Like father, like son, but they're going to try and hype it up because the more pay-per-views they sell, there'll be like a ceiling of like the upside, what they can earn.
Yeah.
It might be guaranteed about 6.5 million, but they might be able to earn a lot more. If he's put 300,000 extra pay-per-views on that at 20 quid, that's 6 million, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that 100 grand's a drop in ocean, but they need that. Matchroom need this fight more than ever. They're going to need Eubank because they're on slide at the moment with boxing. Matchroom. People keep saying to me in personal emails, why they can't, like I just said earlier, put it on comment section. Why don't they just look at the roster who they've got? I'm not interested in somebody from Australia or somebody from Mexico. I'm interested in what they've got in the UK on their roster. And they've got Big Meech, Anthony Joshua, right? Whose last world title win was in 2020 against an old man, Pulev. That's his last world title win. 5 years long time in boxing, isn't it? That's
Oh yeah.
Joshua's last win, right? And Joshua's parked up because they want Fury, really. Or they're going to put him in with Parker. Now, what I mentioned the other day, Simon Jordan's mentioned today, Parker, the first one, were a stinker, wasn't it? So why would we want to see that again? We don't, do we? I don't.
No.
But how does Joshua deserve a world title shot? For example, I'm going to read this kid's comment out. Benito left a comment on my channel this morning, and he said, they were basically saying, could you imagine getting to a snooker final at Crucible, right?
Yeah.
And then Barry Hearn turning around saying, look, you're not going to play Ronnie O'Sullivan the final, lad. And why? I'm in final now. You don't do enough tickets. Ronnie's going to play Jimmy White. Yeah, but Jimmy were knocked out in quarterfinals, Barry. Yeah, but Jimmy does more tickets than you, so you're not in finals, son. That's what it's like. It's like Caballero getting to the final to fight Parker for vacant belt, and they say, no, no, we're going to slip Joshua in because he does more tickets. Does Joshua deserve that title shot? Yes or no?
No.
Then why have we got Super Bean and Jug Ears, right, on Talksport today, Adam Smith and Spencer Oliver, bigging Joshua up for a world title shot coming off the back of a shallacking, and I mean an absolute shallacking. Hey, I'll get stuck into him myself, that Joshua is, that shot. He's scared of his own shadow. Me, an 158 pounder, I get stuck straight into him. He's that shot. I know kids at Chris Medler's gym that'll stick it on Joshua now. Hungry kids. Because he's finished. He's dining out on name only. Do you know what it reminds me of, Jerry? I'm sorry for going on a tangent here.
All right. Go ahead.
It reminds me of Mike Tyson, right? Mike Tyson, Christmas 1989, were in camp for Buster Douglas. Oh, we fought at the beginning of 1990, I think about February. Mike Tyson were out partying and he were telling people he were done with boxing, he wasn't taking it serious. He were burnt out then, Mike Tyson, right? But we've just seen him have a fight for millions of pounds. But if you back up to 2004, were it when he fought Kevin McBride? What were he saying then before that fight and he got 4 million? I'm going to gut him like a fish and do this and that. Dining out off past glories from the 80s. He was finished in 89, Mike Tyson, and he got beat 1990 by Buster Douglas, February. But he was finished. Frank Bruno sort of chinks, opened up a few chinks in his armour, but he was finished in 1989, Mike Tyson. But for years, for another 15 years, up to the McBride fight, he was dining out on reputation alone.
I
And after
agree.
Buster Douglas done him, that was Holyfield done him. Holyfield were a cruiserweight 13 stone 8, pumped up. Holyfield done him twice, right? He were finished in 89. And this is Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua technically has been finished since he fought Vladimir. Now, Vladimir were 18-month on settee and nearly 42-year-old. That were a life and death. Joshua were exposed that night, but he was supposed to knock Vladimir out and fight Wilder. They've wrapped Joshua up in cotton wool for 8 years next month. Do you know that?
Yeah.
8 years he's been wrapped up in cotton wool. And in that 8 years, he's lost 4 times. And he's been down, is it 10 times, 9 or 10 times
Something like
altogether?
that.
So what does that tell you? We're looking at a shot fighter. So how can he have a title shot for WBO, Jerry? Go on, you tell me.
Well, you can't. Um, you can't really explain it better than your analogy that you were referring to the fella who sent you an email. You can't, and this isn't the first time this has happened or the first suggestion either. I don't know how they move the players in these fights around, but you can't. They just seem to match people now based on, well, he's a bigger name, so
Mm.
he by default trumps somebody who has earned their right for a fight with a particular opponent Um, Even if they've got say 4 victories and they're in line for a title shot, somebody else trumps them just because they're Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
I heard some nonsense the other day about Tyson Fury being stick him in with an eliminator against Caballel for a shot at the WBC. How there's this something similar to this Joshua situation? How can you put these guys in? They go back to the start of the queue. They get knocked down the rankings, in my opinion. They should be right down the no back to the queue, number 10, number 9, somewhere around there. And they need to go through another 3 or 4 opponents, at least in the top 10, in my opinion, to get anywhere near a title shot. So
Yeah.
how does it doesn't happen in any other sport when football teams are playing in the FA Cup, the guys who are knocked out in the quarterfinals don't get to play the guys who have just beat everybody. It doesn't work that way. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
just doesn't
I
work that
agree
way.
with you. I agree. Well, I don't think Anthony Joshua, on the back of losing to Usyk twice, and since obviously his last world title win with Pulev 2020, since then he's lost to Usyk twice. He then came back against Franklin, which were a stinker. Wallin and Elenius, or Elenius and Wallin, I forget which order, they were that shite. They were obviously at former sparring partners as well, done hundreds of rounds with them. And he knocked a guy out in his second fight, a novice. And that's it. And then he gets flogged by Dubois, but yeah. You've got Super Bean and Jug Ears championing Anthony Joshua, the saviour of British boxing, for a fight for a world title. Look, Joshua's a flat track bully like Mike Tyson. That's all he is. He's living off past glories, but nobody wants to accept it because he puts bums on seats. And that brings me back to Benito's question. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again, or he said, could you imagine getting to World Snooker final or Wimbledon final at tennis and they're saying, no, you can't play final, lad. Well, the kid who got beat in quarterfinals, he's going to play because he puts more bums on seats and more pay-per-views on tennis or whatever. It's a load of rubbish. It could only happen in boxing. So why would we put up with this if they give him a title shot? It's absolutely shocking. And the best thing about it is, Adam Smith and Spencer Oliver, Super Bean and Juggies, you both should know better. You should be embarrassed. Totally and utterly embarrassed. But these people, they know they're embarrassing. They know it, but they're going to play the game because what they're going to do, where's Super Bean going to get a few quid at? Once he going to leave Sky to try different things? Yeah, I'm not going to be doing Sky boxing no more. I'm going to be trying different things. His words. Am I right, Jerry?
Lasted about 2 months. Lasted about 2 months before he
His words.
sniffed his way into another commentary job with that other channel I can't remember. And now
GMB, and he's hanging around like a bad smell, Adam Smith. But
yeah,
why don't he come out? And why don't they come out on Sky and give him his flowers after 29 years? They did that Dave Clark, didn't they? Why can't they do it for Adam Smith? Why? 29
no,
year at Sky and you just leave just like that. And they've not even bigged him up. What? Is that how
maybe
they
the old
treat? Is
days.
that how they treat people? Look, they can tell as much waffle as they want. We all know what's gone on. And when you've got people like him and Juggies Oliver, they should know better. They should hang their heads in shame. And so should these YouTubers with access. Because they've got to be saying to themselves, we need to really be putting it on this lot here about this. We've got to really put it on him and say he's not entitled to that shot. He's not entitled, honestly. They're manipulating the rankings because he puts bums on seats and sells pay-per-view. So what does it say about the sport? Surely that turkey's got to look at this shower and think to himself, what am I letting myself in for here if they let him have a title shot? See where I'm coming from? It stink.
Yeah,
Jerry, it's smelly. And do you know what it is, Jerry? Do you know like you know when you get like shit, you get shit in your house, right? When this cat comes with this flap here, as at garage, it shits on this floor here, it leaves a stain. You know what first thing I do? I've got to get rid of that stain. Because shit leaves stains, doesn't it? And that's what this is. It's
of course.
shit. And it's leaving stains. And you know, Juggies and Bean, they should know better. Super Bean! Because the man that beats everything, beating cancer. Yeah, I don't believe it. I also don't believe his story about Sky. I know they got rid of him. So if not, why didn't he had a farewell from Sky? Huh? See where I'm coming from? It is what it is. Let's have a look where we're at. Okay. Where's John Fury? Where is he? Where's he, John? Where is he? Is he on the hard road or is he living off the land? Where's John Fury? John Fury, where are you hiding? Hey, you've gone missing. Where are you?
He's in the desert, Ross, trying to find himself.
He's in the what?
He's in the desert, Ross, trying to find himself.
Unbelievable. This man's unbelievable. I miss Big John. Big John, you know when I see you, I'm gonna give you a big cuddle and a big kiss. Mwah! From Porky. Oh, Big John Fury, big fighting man in the ring and on the hard road. My God, 100 and 0 on hard road, Jerry. Not
Some
one
guy.
person come to claim that £1,000. You know. Do you remember that £1,000 that me and Mickey Theo had in my drawer in my office that were there months? Not one person come forward and said I had a bare knuckler with John. Not one person. But in John's head, you know when he twats people in pubs, you know when they're not looking, or at car auctions. In his head, that's the bare knuckler, though, isn't it? You know, in his head.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
If you look on my most viewed video, people need to look at my most viewed video on this channel, right? Just click on the bit that says popular. And on that, you'll see the Manchester Evening News. And in it, he said to the judge, before breaking down crying, obviously you've seen it, the article, haven't you, in the newspaper? And I
Yes,
know
yeah.
people that were there in court, by the way. And he said, it was a hard contest, Your Honour. What? Hitting a man that weren't looking, who's half your size. Opie Sykes. Opie comes up to there on me, Opie, isn't he that big? About 10 stone wet through in front of his teenage kids. Hit him when he wasn't looking and then no, poked his eyes out, didn't he? But they saved one, didn't they? The other one, they took it out. That's not a bare knuckler, John. That ain't a bare knuckler, is it? See, you know what I
So,
mean? It's what you're up against. So nobody came forward to claim the £1,000. So there you go. So I've done it in anyway. So it is what it is, isn't it? We spoke about jug ears and super bean. Do you think that Talksport's ready for a shake-up, Jerry?
um, yeah, more or less because Simon Jordan is not consistent enough. He's had moments, little moments where he seemed to finally get the message about Fury after he got beat again by Usyk. I think it broke his heart, to be honest, because I think he genuinely, thought Fury was everything he said he was.
Yeah.
But he's had little moments where he has nearly steered the ship in the right direction, but it's spoiled goods now, mate. They need to readjust their opinions and their attitudes because there's too much of towing the line and just you know playing the game, as you put it, which is quite frankly sickening, and it leaves a false impression with a lot of people who tune into Talksport and they're maybe not hardcore fans
Yeah.
and they don't know everything, but then they walk away going, "Well, I saw it in Talksport that Spencer Oliver said this and Simon Jordan said that," and then you meet these people down the pub or in work, and you know they think you're foolish because you know what's what, but they're trying to tell you, well, the experts are saying this, so you must be wrong. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, a good clearing out, I think, of Talksport, um, because there's too many guys just trying to be friendly with all the main players.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Joe. I agree. Do you know what? I think we're all sick of it now because people are starting to wise up about what these lot are. You see where I'm
Yeah,
coming from now? So,
100%.
you want to go on to part two, Jerry?
Yep, no sweat,
Thank you
mate.
very much. Brilliant. Right, thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing a video about my friend Scott Brunt, who's growing a mustache, and he's doing it to raise money for a girl who's not very well in the area of Rotherham, and he's going to be doing a benefit night for her. So, okay, I just want to let people know it. I want you to tune into this video that I'm going to put together. I'm going to do a script, I think, tomorrow. When I've spoke to Scott tonight, I'll jot some bits and bobs down about this girl's plight who was very, very ill. So I think that's really good of Scott and very honourable what he's doing. Uh, he's a good guy. So, all right. So I just wanted to get that in, and I hope Peter De Freitas, I hope you're getting better, mate. All right, you're welcome on here anytime, Pete. All right, thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Please join us on part two, where I'm going to be joined by Jerry with his mullet and his Magnum Tash. Go on, pop, pop, bang.